the Disney Movies with the Hearts.
I'm Kelly.
I'm David.
And this week, we're going to Camelot. I can't think of any way to describe this movie because it's so fucking weird.
The Unidentified Flying Oddball from 1979. It is a very strange movie. There's nothing else like this, I don't think.
He's Walt Disney Productions' Blast On, Unidentified Flying Oddball.
The Unidentified Flying Oddball, undeniably oddball.
And he's rated G.
No, 100% there's not. I was definitely not expecting Camelot aspect of it.
No.
Like, I kind of got the space part, sort of. That kind of makes sense that would be in the title, but what did you think about it?
I kind of liked it.
You kind of liked it, but
yeah.
Was it as good as Witch Mountain?
No. Not even close. But it's not a terrible movie. It tries its really best to be terrible. But there's just something so wackadoodle, so silly, and the guy does such a good job.
Okay, is he like best friends with Adam Sandler?
I don't know, he's just in the Mafia, I guess.
He's in all of the movies. Like, even the crappy ones, like Grown Ups and like Jack and Jill, he's in all of the Adam Sandler movies.
Every single one of them.
So he's got to be friends with him or something.
Except for, I don't think he was in Billy Madison. That's the only one I didn't remember seeing.
No, it was there. He was yeah,
okay.
Or maybe, wait, no, maybe not actually. Just
that
kidding.
might have been the only one that he wasn't in.
They had a fight before the movie, so he's like, you're out.
Maybe he just met him at Happy Gilmore, because I can remember the role he played in Happy Gilmore. He was like the PGA Tour guy.
Oh, and this is Dennis Dugan,
yeah,
right?
Dennis Dugan.
Yeah.
Dugan. And he was great. Like, I was really surprised. I thought at some point he would trip himself up being the guy that he was, but he just stayed that dude all the way through.
It kind of seemed like he was the character they were trying to get What's-His-Face from the Monkey's Uncle to be. Like, that's the character they were going for, but this guy did it better than
because the other
Tommy
guy's
Kirk
not
did
charming.
it. Yeah, like, like this guy, like, never faltered from his super dorky, like, matter-of-fact, scientist-ish person, I guess.
Yeah,
like,
scientist is a good way to put it.
Well, yeah, because, like, I don't know, the movie definitely had a lot of problems, but...
Oh, yeah.
But it definitely, probably, a lot of people know about it because it didn't take very long to search on Disney Plus. It came up like within 2 letters, and usually some of these movies you have to like search the whole thing to find it. It was very easy to find.
I don't know very. I mean, how could they? I've never even heard of it until now.
I know, but we didn't even have to search outside of Disney Plus, so it has to have some sort of a following.
I guess. It seems like there are more movies now, though, than there ever has been.
On Disney Plus?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Because we haven't had to go to Amazon for a while.
That's true, we did. Because like with Monkey's Uncle, you had to rent that on Amazon. Mm-hmm. The director... So you've never heard of it, obviously. I've never heard of it.
No,
so that's even... Let me read the synopsis really quick.
There you go.
Let me read the synopsis really quick. Unidentified Flying Oddball. Science fiction, family, comedy, fantasy, action-adventure. An astronaut and his robot companion accidentally fly backwards in time and end up prisoners at the medieval court of King Arthur.
That's accurate.
I mean, kind of. It's just very, like... This movie was really strange. Like, not really... It had a plot, but also it, like, kind of didn't.
No,
like,
it did.
I don't know.
It was just different.
Was weird. That's what it was.
Yeah, it was very weird.
But it makes sense that the director, Russ Mayberry, I mean, he does a lot of, like...
TV and...
Yeah, like Star Trek, and he always does stuff with some sort of sci-fi aspect to it, or space, or...
Some kind of bent. Yeah,
because he did Star Trek Next Generation, $6 Million Man, a couple of other things. I think this was his only Disney thing that he did.
Oh, yeah, I mean, they're not going to let him make another movie. And for the most part, the directors don't make a second Disney movie. You get one Disney movie and that's it. At least it seems that way for the most part, except for a couple of the animated ones and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're almost always being like, oh, this is their only...
Yeah. No, I mean, it definitely was different. And really, he was like the only person I kind of recognized, even though I guess the people they had in it were kind of famous. Did you recognize anybody else that played the movie?
Who did you recognize?
Dennis Dugan, like his face.
I thought we were still talking about the director. Okay.
Oh, no, I don't know anything about the director.
So yeah, Dugan I kind of recognized, and then obviously we see that what he did. Everybody else is just in movies that are way too old for us to really recognize.
And I really thought that the guy who played Merlin, Ron Moody, he just looked kind of familiar, but he's just a crazy person.
Yeah.
I don't think.
And Sandy really didn't do a whole lot in her career.
She was pretty forgettable, but.
Yeah.
And then also the guy, Kenneth More, who played King Arthur, he was very good.
Yeah, and he was in a lot of movies. But he was old.
He kind of reminded me of, like, he was just over it. Like, his take on King Arthur, he was just like, I'm over all of this. Do you know what I mean?
Well, he's kind of an old King Arthur.
Yeah, he was just like, oh, like, I've been there, done that. And that was kind of maybe how he felt personally about doing this movie. He was like, oh, I'm so over this.
Could be.
Kind of thing.
Could be.
Was there anything else about any of the actors that you...
No, I mean, there's a lot with a lot of these old movies, it's hard to talk about them because we don't know anything about old movies and people. So we'll go on. So we open with a presentation by NASA.
But so for like 3 seconds, I was like, oh God, I didn't realize it was a presentation. I thought it was just bad special effects.
But that's about how good the special effects were throughout the movie.
I know, and that's why I thought it was like another Witch Mountain spaceship thing. I was like, oh, okay. But no, it was just a presentation.
But I thought it was worse, the special effects that come later.
Pretty bad. Yeah, it was pretty bad. But wasn't Witch Mountain after this, though?
No, I think it was quite a bit before this.
Oh, you know what? It was 2 movies before, I think, because Candleshoe was right before.
How did we get all these movies in a row? That's really weird.
Wasn't it Candleshoe right before Witch Mountain, I think? Wasn't it? Or was it right after?
Not sure. Yeah, we did get a bunch of these right in a row. So Candleshoe was right before Witch Mountain. And this is like 5 movies after. Oh,
okay, so it's a little bit farther after. But that makes it even worse. The special effects are so bad.
Right, but this movie was filmed in London, so they might not have had really the Disney Magic Studios in their London studio.
That makes sense.
Because Candleshoe was also filmed there, but didn't need anything.
Interesting. So. I guess I didn't realize they made so many movies out of their other studios.
Well, these were only a year apart.
That makes sense.
They just made a whole bunch of movies in 1978 and 79. And 80, I mean, really.
Lots of weird movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're giving this, like, Russian scientist is giving a presentation on his Project Stardust, which is, like, I wasn't exactly sure what the project was. It was some new sort of spacecraft that was going to work on absorbing atoms to go faster. Is that correct?
It didn't make a lot of sense.
No, and then he was like, we're going to send a man up there, or crew, and then the senator guy freaks out because...
Like, we can't kill 2 people.
Yeah, and then I thought, did somebody make a comment like, well, we have a bunch of women on the staff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Well, because he said you can't kill 2 men, so somebody's like, well, we have women.
He's like, no, that's not what I meant. The scientist's solution is to then tell our main character, Tom, to build a robot.
Yeah, he's like, he said he was working on, like, transcendental meditation or something.
Yeah.
Now he has to build a robot, and he just easily, with no problem...
It's like, you got it.
During the intros, just builds a replica robot of himself.
I want a robot that walks, talks, sees, reacts, no works. Yes, sir.
Out of pipes.
Yeah. And some clay. And rubber.
And a few wires. There was some wires in there.
There was a wiring bundle or 2 in there.
And he's teaching him how to be a person, and he's showing him, like, slides of things. And Tom's like, this is a woman. She is of the opposite gender.
Yeah.
You are a man. I am a man. She is a woman. Because that's really important for him to know going into space.
It is. Gotta know about chicks.
But did you catch when he was trying to, like, animate him, the machine was like, no go on the screen?
Yeah.
I thought that was really cute.
Yeah, it was weird. They show him off. Okay, here he is. Here's your perfect robot. You can do everything you want him to do.
Hermes is his name. So they agree they're going to do this, like, space launch thing. And basically a part of what they said, too, was they were going to test Einstein's theory of relativity about going
back in time. Going the speed of light, which is ludicrous.
In the 70s, yeah.
At any time.
it doesn't seem like this was planned very well, because basically Hermes is like, oh, I'm scared I'm never going to come back, which if he's a robot, he wouldn't really have those.
They made him with feelings.
Apparently, because that's that Disney magic.
Yeah.
But so then they get Tom to go in there and talk to him, and
they had mentioned that a storm front was coming in.
Oh, that's...
And lightning strikes the rocket and launches it.
Because that's how science works.
Yeah, that's how rockets work. So now, I guess Tom is going with...
And the guy who's like the main guy behind this, the Russian guy, he's like, oh yeah, it's fine. You'll just stay there for 30 years.
Yeah, you'll be fine. You'll have a fat paycheck when you get back.
And Tom's like, what? No, this is not a thing. But the guy's like, whatever, and just sends him off into space.
And he's like, too bad, see you later.
Bye. Yeah, and yeah, he's and of course has no reaction, he doesn't get sick, he's just fine. Like, he hasn't had any space training, and he's just fine.
Like, where's he gonna get food? They wouldn't have had food for the robot. Water.
Oh, I didn't think about that, but that's true.
They wouldn't have even needed oxygen on board because they sent a robot.
That is a big plot hole in the story.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have had a lot of things.
But it's not a big deal. I mean, at least they have a porno that Hermes brought.
Oh my god. Yeah, like, what? Did Hermes bring it?
Yeah, Hermes brought it.
I thought that Tom brought it.
No, he uncovered it. He's like, Hermes. He's like, I guess 30 years is 30 years.
Oh my god. Yeah, because it was called...
Playmate.
Was it Playmate? I thought it was something else.
Playmate.
Okay. I'm surprised they didn't get, copyrighted for that.
Well, you can't. That's why they called it Playmate. It's not Playboy.
Well,
Playmate.
Right, but it's like...
It's in the... Yeah, it's just right in the area.
Which was just a weird thing to throw in to a Disney movie.
I liked it.
No, it was hilarious, especially when it keeps coming up later. And then there's some really incredible special effects that happen.
Yeah, they're super high quality, amazing special effects of them launching into space and the rockets coming off in stages and...
And Hermes gets knocked out during the launch.
Yeah,
because
he's not buckled up, and neither's our buddy Tom.
Yeah, he would have been knocked out too, because he would have been slammed into the side of the spaceship.
You would think, but for some reason the robot is very weak.
Yes. So they do go back, because he sees the years ticking. He's like, oh, it's working, and then he's like, oh, I need to slow this down, or it's just going to keep going.
Well, he wasn't sure if they were going back in years or what was going on.
I thought he said oh, it works.
No. He said they were going too fast. They needed to slow down.
Oh.
He thought that was their speed or something. Because he was untrained on the spacecraft, remember?
You're right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's all of a sudden back in Camelot, right?
Yeah. We're back here in the olden times. We find Sandy with a gander.
What is the difference between a goose and a gander?
I think a gander might be a male goose, and then the goose is the female.
Okay.
I think.
Correct, sir.
So, I'm not good at history. Camelot was a real place. Is that true?
I don't think so.
Because it made it sound like it was a real place. Because when he was talking to all of them, he's like, "Oh, this is the history," and I'm like, "I thought."
Right, but that's Disney magic, I think, is to make it real.
Okay, because I felt really stupid for a second. I was like, "Wait, I thought that was a fake story written by somebody."
And maybe it is, maybe it's not. I don't know. I mean, I guess we could look it up.
But yeah, we'll look it up. Just because...
Yeah, because otherwise we're going to sound really dumb for the rest of this. No, yeah, they can't confirm it was ever a real deal.
Okay, so it's probably just a combination of accounts from people into stories.
Yeah, or it was just folklore, heroic stuff.
Okay,
so,
then I don't feel crazy, because
yeah.
I was like, wait a second, what?
yeah, wait, what do you mean?
Okay, so Sandy is there with the goose.
Right.
When he
She's
lands.
there, and she calls him monster.
And she keeps calling, but I mean, what would you think if you were supposedly in that?
And really, she just watches this whole thing, this gigantic, not gigantic, actually rather small spaceship with hilarious flames coming out of the bottom.
Yes.
Land on the ground.
Why is it sticking its tongue out at us?
Yeah, it opens the little hatch, and she's like, why is it sticking its tongue out at us?
But here's the thing, why would he put on a spaceship, or a spacesuit, if he's going onto Earth? It's not...
Well, he doesn't necessarily know what conditions he's landing into. He doesn't know what year it might be or anything.
But it's not like the oxygen would be different, right?
It could be. You never know. He doesn't know what he's going into.
I guess. I don't know. It just seemed like he would have avoided a lot of trouble not having the spacesuit on. But That's fair enough. That's fine. So he asks her, like, where he is and what year it is, and she said it's 508, right? Is that what she said? And they have just a bunch of dialogue about where he's from and this and that, and she's just thinking he's still a monster, and he's like, you can have a look inside. She said, I'm not that curious to look inside you.
Yeah. Yeah, and she is extremely dumb.
Oh, she's really dumb. She thinks the goose is her dad.
Yeah.
Because apparently...
She left and came home. The door was locked, but yet the goose was in her father's chair eating crumbs.
So that definitely meant it was her dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she's definitely not very bright. What happens after that?
Then he's taken prisoner by, we meet, what's his name? Mordred.
Yes, Mordred.
Yeah, he has the worst name, and it makes it hard to do this.
And he just kind of looks like...
a total evil little dude.
Yeah, like, anytime there's, like, a King Arthur or medieval, and there's, like, a bad guy, he always looks just like this guy.
Yeah, he looks like the Sheriff of Nottingham from the Robin Hood movie.
100%. Yeah, he does.
Just greasy and gross.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so basically he captures them, and he's with his squire, Clarence. They take him back to King Arthur's court, and there's just a whole, like, I don't know exactly what was happening, but basically he is able to get the helmet off.
Well, first we see Merlin's magic show.
Oh, God, that's
He's out
right.
there doing his little tricks.
Yeah, and Merlin is, like, not how Merlin is typically portrayed.
Yeah, he was also pretty greasy and gross. And...
he had, like, a ridiculous haircut. He didn't have... He just looked awful. And he was wearing, like, a purple cape with, like, stars sewn on it. Like
Merlin's beard.
Yeah, what beard? He barely had a beard.
I know.
He had, like, a little, like, man bun situation happening on top. Yeah, so Merlin's magic show where he, like, turned a rat into wine or something. Yeah. And the king is like, oh, it's wine. But he shows up and he asks for, like, a wrench, and they think he says wench.
Yeah.
They're like, we have a couple wenches about the castle.
Don't usually give them to prisoners, but okay. So the lady pops the helmet off of him, and he goes on to explain and bores everybody to death.
Right.
Hilarious.
It is hilarious because he's literally starting at, like, where does he start?
1492.
Oh, at Christopher Columbus, right.
Sailed the ocean blue. And just goes into 1,000 tangents as he's telling his story.
Yeah, and so then, like you said, everybody's, like, falling asleep, and they're like, dear God, like, just get on with it.
Yeah,
so
please put me out of my misery.
They don't believe him, and he ends up having to go to prison.
Yeah, they throw him in prison, and immediately Sandy comes to help him escape, but then
she gets freaked out about...
because he wants to nail her, right?
No, I don't think that's right then.
Is that not right then?
No, she gets freaked out about something. Oh my God, what was it?
It's something dumb.
It's something really stupid. And I don't remember. It's something about. Oh God, we're both really terrible. Something about him being like, he says some comment about that was like a normal thing to say in.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about this movie is that those little things really add up, and it was kind of hard to
keep track of them all.
Yeah,
because he just keeps making references to
stuff and things and
in the current time, and she was like,
and colloquialisms.
Yeah. Basically, she leaves, and then he, like, sees her dad, like, in the cell next to him, right?
Yeah, and below him a little bit.
Yeah, and he's being, like, stretched on that stretching thing.
on the rack, yeah.
And
he's like, your daughter's Sandy? Oh.
Yeah,
and he tells him the tale that Mordred... I hate that name so much.
I know, it's bad.
Is holding him captive, trying to make him admit that he poached a deer so he can steal all of his land.
Right, and he's like, I have to leave it to my daughter, and blah, blah, blah. I don't remember why I wrote after the jail part, Sir Mordred has crazy eyes.
Well, he does. But also while he's talking to Sandy, he realizes that his suit is totally heat-proof.
Oh, that's right. That's why she runs away.
Oh, because the air conditioning.
Because
and
he
burned
he didn't burn her. She sees him like not getting burned, and she thinks it's like witchcraft or magic or something, so she gets freaked out. That's why she leaves.
That's right.
Because the whole thing is they're gonna burn him the next day.
Yeah.
basically. And so he's like, oh, I'm fine now. I don't have to worry about it because my suit is heat
Yeah, and there's a little joke of like where he's talking to her dad and he's like, well, maybe you could tell him before the burning. Wouldn't that make more sense? So it's so funny.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of little jokes like that.
Yeah. So he goes up there and he's like, King Arthur, can I talk to you after the burning?
Yeah, because they're taking him up there.
And the king's like, well, I don't see any harm in it, sure.
Yeah, well, and before he goes up there, so there's another reference to the magazine, the porn magazine.
Oh, because he takes it out and gives it to Clarence.
Yeah, and it wasn't Playmate, it was Playtime.
Oh, maybe it was Playtime.
Because I wrote it down. It's Playtime magazine, and so Clarence is like, oh, I think he asked him to help him at that point.
Yeah,
right?
He did. Or was that when he was running Oh, no, at that point he just asked him to hold on to it until they were done.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, he
because
said,
it would have burned in his pocket, probably.
Yes, and you gotta save the magazine.
Well, hey, that's a super important commodity.
Hold that till I get back. There's some very good articles in it.
So they're burning him at this point after he gives him the magazine, and basically once his little strap holding his arms together breaks, he just walks out.
Yeah, once it burns, the stupid little leather strap burns, he just walks off.
Yep.
And they're like, oh my god, people are bowing to him when he's walking off away. Super afraid of him because they're all just old-timey dummies.
Yeah, and then this goes into the whole thing, this is the sword scene, right?
So yeah, he burned his butt or something. That was really
Oh, that's right.
unclear what happened.
Because then he has to go find water, and so then the king and Mordred are like, oh, we have to vanquish him with steel.
It was mostly just Mordred.
Yeah, we have to get. And the king is like, yeah, whatever. I'm just over
fine,
it.
Yeah.
And that's when the squire and Sandy, they find him in the water, and they go and take him. And he's like, oh, you have to help me, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, give me a sword. And he decides he's going to remagnetize
the steel by hitting it with a hammer.
Facing north?
Yeah, no, the north was...
No, he said which direction is north.
Oh, yeah, so that is the wackiest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, but what if it works though?
Why would it? I mean, otherwise, anytime you hit any steel north, it would be...
You're right. But he's messing up Mordred's sword, and then they have one of the funniest fight scenes.
Yeah, it is just silly. Just all these things sticking to his sword, the sword sticking to his armor.
Well, and the best part was Clarence had little cups and things that he was when he would move his sword, he would add more things to it.
Yeah, he was blatantly adding things to his master's sword.
I thought was really funny.
That was really funny. He had a couple cups, a plate, just dunk, dunk.
Yeah, and for the beginning, he kept asking the king to help him move the sword because the king's like, I have expert in this sort of thing.
Oh yeah, because he couldn't pull it out of the sheath. He's like, it's rusted on.
He's like, oh, haha, King Arthur can pull the sword out.
Yeah, and he did. But not that helped him too much.
Yeah, so they go through this whole thing, and it's a pretty long fight scene.
Yeah, it's a super long magnet humor fight scene.
Yes, and he ends up falling, and then...
Well, Mordred ends up he falls into the water, and then King Arthur is willing to listen to Tom has to say.
Right. And he tries to tell him about Mordred, and they go to where her dad is supposed to be, but he's not there.
He's gone, and then Mordred's like, I'm going to kill him. I want my right to joust him tomorrow. And King's like, whatever. Fine.
If you must. Okay, fine.
This is where Tom pays Clarence in porno.
Yeah, he's like, here, I'll let you keep this magazine if you help me tomorrow. Yeah. And he's like, whoa.
Whoa, yeah. I need more of that.
Because, if you didn't have that back then, that would be, insane. And basically, he gets Hermes...
To joust for him.
But of course, you don't realize it's Hermes at first. This is where Sandy decides to confess her love, thinking that it's Tom.
Yeah. No, she confessed her love to him the first time. And then the second time came out and confessed her love to Hermes.
What was the first time?
I'm trying to remember where this fell in. Because remember when he's like, what's with the hot cold act?
That was after this.
Yeah, no, I know, but she had confessed her... Oh, she confessed her love in the cave. Or the prison.
Did she? I thought it was just when he was...
No,
it was just this.
After. No. It was... hang on a second. This is going to drive me crazy. Because it was right after this was when he did the hot-cold act.
Right.
Right, but where's the hot?
It's when she was kissing him on the horse.
No, but that was Hermes, not him.
But she didn't know it was Hermes.
He said the hot-cold act thing.
Right, because he's thinking, oh, you just confessed to me because you thought it was me.
No, she did confess to him.
To Hermes.
Maybe. I don't know. That part doesn't make a lot of sense.
Well, no, it doesn't, because, like, in Tom's eyes, he's literally just thinking Hermes is a robot, and he's thinking that... Because when he's talking to Hermes through the walkie-talkie, he's thinking like, oh, she's thinking she's talking to me. So that's what he meant by that. It is confusing. But Sandy basically... If
there was a way to check this, I would, but there is no way.
Don't you have Disney Plus on your phone?
Yeah, that's not going to work out.
Okay. Well, either way, they have a super confusing love triangle situation going on.
That goes throughout the rest of the movie.
And she's apparently super into kissing Hermes' helmet because she just...
Because he picked her up and kissed her through the fishbowl.
Which I'm like, why wouldn't you just
lift it up?
Yeah, but... And Tom is like, okay, stop. I can turn you off as fast as she can turn you on.
Which was one of the best lines in the movie.
And I didn't realize exactly what Tom was doing, but he was looking for evidence.
Yeah, that was a weird...
It wasn't clear. I thought he was trying to escape this whole time.
Yeah, and he's like looking for stuff, and he finds his evidence as Hermes is getting jousted to death.
Yeah, he's like losing arms, his head.
And then finally in the chest, and he blows up and starts on fire.
Yep. And that's when Tom comes down and has the evidence and shows it to Arthur.
Yeah. And Merlin's all fascinated by Hermes. He's like, what in the hell is this thing? I want to keep the corpse.
Yeah. So Mordred, like, runs away, basically. He's like, death to Arthur! Like, just like, runs away. Oh, that's when they go back to the lab, because, like, Tom is putting Hermes back together, which I don't know how he would do that without having the tools to do that, but...
I guess he probably just has enough spare parts from the ship and whatnot. I mean, he's such a basic robot, even though he's super advanced. We couldn't even do that now.
Yeah.
Because
he, like... The part that was really ridiculous is he sees Hermes is laying there and he sees Sandy and he's like, oh, hey. So he's definitely trying to probe her.
Yeah.
But then Tom just like turns off Hermes. He's like, go away.
Yeah. Get out of here. And Tom goes on this whole thing about he's just a American boy and don't you get it, Sandy? And she's like, No, I don't get it.
Like, no, obviously I don't. Like,
yeah, even though she doesn't get it, just in general, because she's dumb.
Yeah.
Like, she still might think that he's a monster at this point, maybe.
Oh, she does, because later she's like, are you taking me to your lair? Like,
that's right.
She does still think he's a monster. Your nest. That's what it was.
So then they talk about the coming invasion. And Tommy Boy here whoops out a laser gun.
Oh my god, I can't.
And then he blows up like the hay cart, and then blows up like one of the things of the castle. He has King Arthur do it.
Which is hilarious because it's like watching your grandpa try to do something.
Like watching your grandpa take a free throw or something.
Yeah, like he was like, oh.
Oh my god.
And Merlin is watching this whole thing and he's like, ooh, we need that.
Yeah. He's like, and then he has like this oaf, like this like.
His name is literally Oaf.
It was just kind of terrible.
Yes.
Who was like, he like ate the whole chicken leg.
Yeah, it was gross.
Yeah, it was pretty gross.
And then when Merlin has him capture Sandy, because apparently they have to, I guess he used that to lure. Like, I don't know why they had to capture her. That part didn't make sense.
To lure Tom. He could see that he was in love with her. Like, it was pretty obvious.
But couldn't they have just told Tom, oh, go wait for Sandy? Like, why did they have to take her away?
So they told him to go wait for her so they could steal the laser. Then they took her to lure him back so they could kill him. They wanted to get him out of there so they could take him out.
Oh, I thought they just wanted him out of his room so they could take his laser gun.
No. So they did that. And then there was that nonsense model rocket scene where he somehow built a model rocket out of clay that flew around the room.
Right.
That was ridiculous.
That's right.
And then they discover that Merlin screwed him over.
Right.
Because the goose comes, or the guy had caught the goose or the gander or whatever. He's like, oh, I'm going to eat you. And he's like, no, you got to put that in protective custody.
Oh.
Where's the girl? We don't know where the girl is. Where's Merlin? No, we don't know where she is. Oh, he screwed us over. Let's go look for the gun. It's gone.
Right. And then Tom gets the idea that he's going to use King Arthur's armor to repel the laser.
To reflect it. Yeah, he needed it shined up as much as possible. They had to buff it. Turn it mirror finish.
You know, because the laser can shoot through stone, but it can't shoot through...
That actually, I mean, it does kind of make sense because if you can reflect it, whereas other things can't reflect it. But,
maybe.
I mean, lasers aren't really
real.
Well, I mean, they're real, but...
Not like this.
Yeah, probably not.
But he uses, basically the rover from the spaceship, and he takes it out, and so he approaches the camp, and they try to shoot him, and it reflects off, and it's this whole thing.
It's hilarious how slow that rover is. It's like he's going around in a rascal.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. He's like, I'm here to rescue you. And then Sandy's, not even tied up. She just runs free to him.
Well, remember, at this point, she was like, oh, I guess if I have to choose between you and the oaf, I'll take you. A little later on, she's basically just kind of free for anybody who's going to take her.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, because then she goes with him, and then an arrow gets into his tire on the rover.
Yeah, it hits a tire. So this thing that's meant to travel on other planets, a single arrow takes its weak, chintzy rubber tire right out.
And then they're just sitting there.
So they're just sitting there, dead in the water, and then the oaf and Merlin and Mildred.
Mildred?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to start calling them. Roll up on him, and they're like, oh, watch these two, or something.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And so then they go take off and go to their secret little tunnel under the castle.
That's right, because Tom I forgot why, they just left him there, but I forgot they left Oaf there, because he basically...
To watch him, yeah.
Yeah, because Tom, used food as a distraction and was able to take him out with, the robot arm, basically.
Yeah, he knocked him over with one part of it and then choked him and knocked him against a rock with the robot arm. And Sandy's like, oh...
Yeah.
And he's like, come sit in my lap. And she's like, no, I won't sit in your lap.
Yeah,
she's so hot and cold. And she is. And he's like, no, get on my lap. She's like, ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
And so he hits this button, and his backpack is now a jetpack.
I can't.
And they jetpack all the way to the castle.
It's like a chair jetpack.
It's so stupid.
And you can see the wires hanging it, not at this part, but a little bit later, you can see it so clearly. There's just wires just holding it, and it's really bad.
And his dumb smile, throughout the whole thing while he's on the jetpack, is just so ridiculous.
It's real bad. And back at the castle, oh my god. This is, of course, they have to have the wacky fight scene at the end of the movie that goes on forever.
Yeah, so the first wacky thing that happens is that he grabs a mop for the tar.
Oh no, before that, the first wacky thing that happens is one of the Knights of the Round Table who the king is always like, oh, shut up. That guy's like, look, sir, it's Tom. And he puts his arm and slaps a guy and he falls.
Yeah, he accidentally falls. Yeah, that was kind of a throwaway to me, but
yeah, the mop, because all of Mildred's men, they were in a big line up these stairs and around.
These stairs, all the way down and around and through the tunnel.
Around 6 corners.
Yeah, and Tom knocks over Mildred, and every single one of the troops from there on back falls. And I'm like, why didn't you guys advance on them and kill each one of them while they're falling on their back like little turtles? But whatever.
Yeah. Mop dominoes.
Yeah, mop dominoes.
And at the same time, they're able to lower the drawbridge and raise the portcullis, so all of the bad guys start getting in. But then Tom is able to chop it down.
He's able to chop the portcullis down.
Yeah.
Next. And so that stops people from coming in. And then Mildred sees him flying around and grabs a dude with a crossbow and takes out his jetpack with one shot.
Yeah, because this is where, dude, you can see the cables on the flying thing. So this is where you can see all the cables really bad,
Right.
like holding up.
And he, like, slowly goes down, but he, like, catches one of the ropes.
Yeah, it's like the ropes to the portcullis, and he has this Clarence the Squire and Sandy. He's like, stop trying to get it, lower him to the ledge type of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, because Hermes is inside of the rocket at this point.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, fire the rockets on the Stardust.
Oh my god.
And it blows everybody over and knocks them all into
it's
one
just shooting them with hot air. That's all it's doing.
Yeah.
And they keep falling over, and it's
jet hot air.
It's like, this whole part is so long. Like,
it's so wacky.
It just keeps knocking him over, and at one point, Merlin, like, sneaks in the open gate, and Tom is, like, on the radio talking to Hermes, and, like, Merlin is on, like, the right side of right side of Hermes, and he starts singing the Star Spangled Banner, so Hermes will, salute.
Throw his hand up, and it knocks Merlin out and off of Stardust. He's like, close the gate.
This is where the magnets happen.
Well, first they were having it, like, spit steam at all the people, then the Merlin thing, then they go to the magnetic pulse thing.
And it's basically just pulling everyone.
Yeah, pulling everyone with all their steel right at the rocket, and it's pulsing, so it pulls them in, drops them, pulls them in, drops them.
Yeah.
Into just, like, this huge pile in front of the Stardust.
Yes.
And it finally gets Mildred.
Yes,
in the same way. And then it starts taking Tom and King Arthur's armor. He's like, King Arthur told me this armor was all gold. If that armor is all gold, you would not be able to move, for one, because it would be so heavy.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it wouldn't be magnetic, so that's how he knows.
And then that, like, all the baddies, like, oh, take him away.
Yeah, it takes out everybody. The plane takes out the entire crew with its pulse magnet.
Tom is like, let's get a group photo.
Yeah.
Because he is like, they're never going to believe me.
Well, he becomes a Knight of the Round Table first. They carve his name in there. He's knighted. He's one of the knights.
Right.
And then he's like, oh, let's take a picture. And they're like, what?
Yeah, and then he's like, oh, that's me. And it's like a whole thing. And
like, oh, yeah, that's everybody. It's the whole gang. See, look.
And then he's like, oh, show this to Merlin. He'll drive him bananas. And he's like, bananas?
Yeah, but he gave him the Polaroid camera to keep, like.
Yeah.
So he could take some pictures, and I bet you he took a picture of his wang first.
Maybe. And then he, like, is turning to Sandy, and he's like, oh, he, like, thinks that he can't take her because he's worried that she'll just age. Which
is totally flawed. Like, he didn't change age when he flew.
It's not like he turned into a baby Benjamin Button situation or something.
Really, why wouldn't you just risk it? Like, who cares?
Yeah, she's so dumb. She would just go with it. Feel like, oh, whoops, you're, like, gone. But he's like, there's so many things I'd like to show you. And, of course, they had to throw in the little Disney reference. He's like, Grand Canyon, Space Mountain.
Yeah, exactly.
And he gives Clarence, like, a little American flag. Yeah. And he's like, it says it's from his Uncle Sam.
They're like, oh, great. He has the Stardust propped up on this janky wooden stand that's made out of sticks. And they take off. Like, they're just gone. Yeah. And somewhere along the way, he gives them the note from Sandy. Where Sandy tells...
Gives Hermes the note.
Yeah, he gives Hermes the note. Where Sandy tells Hermes that she can't be with Hermes because she likes Tom better.
Yeah, and Hermes is, like, at first really pissed. And I was like, oh, man, if they wanted to make this super dark, they would just have Hermes, like, kill Tom and then go back and be like, I am Tom.
Yeah, exactly. Then the goose is on there, and nothing happens to it. So Tom's like, wait, and she loves me? We're going back for Sandy.
And then it just cuts. It's the end of the movie.
That's the end of the movie, yeah. Because, I mean, really, do you want to see that dumb broad go into modern times? Not really.
A very strange movie.
Very, very strange movie. I don't know
But I still kind of enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it. I just don't... It wasn't a good movie, though.
No, definitely not. So, of this movie that was bad, but you enjoyed, what was your favorite part?
The boring history part.
Really?
Where he bores everybody to death. That's so funny. And then afterwards, anytime they're bringing, like when they were like, wait, who invented the radio? Was it?
Oh, yeah.
Flying, and
he's
they're
like, I believe it was Babe Ruth, sir.
Yeah, and they're just bringing up all these historical characters, and you can just tell how horribly long that explanation was. And anytime he tried to explain anything else, they'd be like, no, I can't. Like, they'd all like have anxiety. Yeah. It was the best gag through the whole movie, so that really was my favorite part.
I think my favorite part was the jousting scene, actually.
Oh, with
Hermes, where he kept losing his limbs, and then Tom kept talking to him through the radio, and
he's like, "You'll fight until he yields or dies."
But actually, I have a couple favorites because of that one, and then actually, like the magnetic sword fight scene, I really liked.
Even though it went really long, it was really fun.
It did make me laugh out loud.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying, and that's why this movie, you can't be like, "Oh, to hell with this movie." Like, it's funny. It's really funny. A lot. Often.
And the porn magazine was...
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty great.
We missed the part, too, at the end, during the final battle scene. Clarence, the squire, puts the porn, like, stuffs it into, like, a hay barrel thing, or hay cart, thinking it's going to be safe, like, during the battle, and then the hay... Or no, it was during the laser thing, I think, because he stuffs it into, like, a hay thing, and then it gets blown up or lit on fire.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. No, there was a bit where Clarence took the magazine and he stuffed it in the middle of a hay cart. I think it was at the laser part because that's where it was going to be safe. And then because then you see the hay cart like blow up in flames and he's like really upset because it's gone.
Yeah.
There was literally no songs or music at all.
No, not really. So then we go on. Our main character, Tom, he's your average American nerd.
Yeah.
But he's a sucker for blondes.
Apparently.
Man. Especially dumb ones. He's like, but I bet they're not as dingy, when King Arthur was like, I could get you better looking hoes than this.
Oh, he did say that, right? He's like, I have 5
and
maiden.
And who are more willing, yeah. And he's like, but they're not as dingy. Like,
what does dingy even mean?
That they're dumb. Like, he loves that she's dumb.
Oh, my God.
Like,
well, it probably makes him feel like more like a
smarter,
man or something. Some nonsense like that. But... Yeah, okay.
But he was pretty solid for a main character.
He was, because he never really faltered from his personality.
Right. So, and for villains, Mordred was a great villain. He was horrible.
Well, he's just gross.
Yeah, he was totally gross.
It looks like he smells.
A total all the time. Very good. And same with Merlin. Merlin was nasty.
Which is not, that's kind of a departure from typically in these type of stories, how Merlin is portrayed.
So, to be honest, that was actually a pretty good plot twist for this movie. To have Merlin be the second betrayer.
Yeah.
Really kind of actually added a lot to this movie. Like, I was like, oh, well played.
Yeah.
Well played.
Then there was actually a lot of side characters in the movie, too.
Because you got Sandy, King Arthur, Clarence, Sir Durham.
Sir Gawain.
Gawain.
Who was,
the goose.
Yeah, I enjoyed King Arthur's character a lot.
That dude did a really good job of being like you were saying, but he kind of didn't care.
No, and even during the battle, he was just like, oh, whatever.
Like, we're gonna win, but I mean, let's do it, I guess. Whatever, let's go.
Yeah, no, he was. I enjoyed his character, and I enjoyed the squire.
I really enjoyed Sandy because she was so dumb. I thought it was really funny. Some of the things that she said were just hilarious.
Are you taking me to your nest?
And it was one of those
Do you know how to bite?
One of the things that they did with this movie that I really found ingenious was with her and that basic thinking that must have been prevalent back then. And they really kind of showed that off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I low-key thought that was a genius quality of this movie and why I liked it so much.
Yeah, no, it was definitely really good. She was, because her name was Sandy, but she was Alisande.
Yeah, Alisande.
Yeah, it's... Okay.
Do you bite?
What did you think about the wonderful cinematography?
Just the hilarious special effects throughout the movie were great.
And it's just these 70s movies have such a very telling film style. Like it's
Well, and they made him cheaply. I mean, it's very obvious that they didn't spend a dime making this movie.
Just definitely very different.
Yeah. I mean, when the plane, or when the ship was landing and they had that flame coming out of the bottom.
Oh my god.
The flame was so weak that it was actually going back upwards rather than providing thrust. Like, it was going down and back up like on a lighter if you tip it upside down.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
It was super funny. Like, I mean, otherwise it looked fine. It's just the stuff that they did like that was hilarious.
Yeah, it was crazy. This was a weird movie.
Yeah.
What was your biggest surprise or disappointment?
The consistency of Tom's character. I mean,
Okay.
that to me, I was like, wow, this guy really pulled off this happy-go-lucky character in a way that mostly does not happen. It was very surprising. And there was no disappointments because I thought this would have been worse than it was.
So I think my only disappointment would be like after we watched the movie, I kind of wish they would have had more Hermes in it. Like he was kind of like wasn't in a lot of it.
Yeah, they did underutilize Hermes a little bit.
Just surprised before. I was not expecting a King Arthur storyline. So this just like I was not expecting any of this. I was like, what? But as soon as the credits were rolling in,
yeah, it showed us that that's what was going to happen. But I thought they were going to go to maybe multiple times.
Yeah, that like a Bill and Ted situation.
Yeah, and I was like, oh no, it's just one. Oh yeah, they're staying here.
Yeah, they're definitely staying there. So yeah, the story was different. I mean, it was really
oddly satisfying. Like
these old movies,
it was different. It's not like this formula like A squared plus B squared equals C squared kind of movie.
You mean like G-Force?
Yeah, it was different. It was weird and took turns that you wouldn't have exactly expected. Like with Merlin, a different movie altogether.
Yeah, it'll just be really interesting to see as we watch the rest of these live action movies, like how. Because most of them have been pretty weird and pretty, strange stories. So
Yeah, and these have kind of been the most fun.
They really are.
Yeah, all these 70s live action movies have been somewhere between satisfactory and fantastic.
And hilarious.
Yeah, but they're always funny.
Yeah.
Like, this goes, right along with Herbie Goes Bananas, Candle Shoe.
There'll be definitely more of those for sure.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts before we rate it?
That's very odd. Certainly odd.
Was it a unidentified flying oddball, would you say?
Yeah, I would say that. Because the dude, he was an oddball and he lived up to it.
My sentiments exactly.
Yeah. So would you rate it, Kelly?
So I rated this movie a 49%.
Oh, okay. That's not off too far from me. I gave it 55.
55%. Okay.
Yeah. I wanted to show that it was actually good. The Rotten Tomatoes score is only with the people.
Probably 27%.
33. So I'm really surprised. I don't really know why you wouldn't like this movie if you watch it. It's hilarious.
Well, I think people...
Or maybe people are too dumb to get a lot of the jokes. There's too many Sandys out there.
I don't think Sandys are watching this movie.
Well, no, I think they might be, and they're like, this movie's stupid. I don't get it. Because that's all I can see about people not liking it is not understanding it.
Sorry if your name is Sandy. Sandy? Yeah. Hello? Are you there?
Alice Sandys? Yeah. Wait, is somebody talking to me?
Yes, it's us. We're here. The monster in your ear.
Yeah, we're right behind you. Oh.
Don't look. Stop it. Sandy, stop looking.
All right, so it's time for Kelly's favorite portion of the show.
You keep saying it's my favorite portion. It's your favorite portion, too.
Well, you used to kind of, panic when we were doing this and get anxious.
I am anxious a little bit, but I'm trying to, be cool, you know?
Be cool, Kelly.
Just because there's so many choices.
Well, we got number 2.
Wait a second. Stop. Number 2.
Number 2.
Okay. I think, oh God, I need to remember this. I know that it's animated.
It is animated.
Is it Bambi?
It is not Bambi.
Oh, that must be 3 or 4.
6.
Oh. Well, it's not Snow White because that's number 1.
Yeah, take one more whack at it.
I don't remember what was in between Snow White and Bambi.
Okay.
Was it Pinocchio? No,
Yes.
that's... Oh, is it? Did I get it right?
Number 2 is Pinocchio from 1940. So that's our next movie is Pinocchio, which we've both seen.
Okay,
But
so...
it's been hella since I've seen this movie.
I haven't seen this movie in a really long time. I just know that there's some really messed up scenes in it.
Yeah, I'm really wondering how this is going to compare to Dumbo and its horrors. Because I feel like there's some really bad, like really dark scenes in Pinocchio.
Yes, that's what I remember. I think there's a lot of smoking in it.
Oh, well, that's a plus for me. I love that.
Number 2. Oh my god, that's crazy. Yeah, it's been a really long time since I've watched it, for sure.
Yeah. We're gonna go all the way back.
Way, way back. And I think there's a cute cat in it, if I remember right.
Could have been. There's a cricket.
Oh, you think?
Yeah.
Jiminy Cricket?
Well, so what do you think it's about?
I'm a real boy! I mean, everybody knows that.
Yeah.
The story is, like, you know...
There's not going to be any surprises. Well, maybe
there's going to be surprises, I think, at how... Like, some of the scenes, I'm sure.
How 1940 it is.
Yeah. How much racism will it have? Okay. Next week we will watch Pinocchio.
Yeah.
Wait, when is it released?
1940.
1940.
Mm-hmm.
Good Lord. Okay.
Yeah.
That is an old one.
Yeah. So in the meantime, you can follow us on social media anywhere you like. At the Disney Movies, you'll find us eventually. Send us an email at thedisneymovies@gmail.com.
Like, subscribe, share, leave us a comment. Those are always fun. Send us any questions to our email, and we'll address them in the bonus episode next time.
Yeah, you could do that. So, well, for now, I'm David.
I'm Kelly.
And this has been At the Disney Movies with the Hearts.
Bye!
Hey, dogs, come here. Hey, you two lay down. Lay down. You little wackadoodles.